I think some of it is through coaching. So when I work with people, what we do is we do the strength surveys. There's the other things I told you about, like asking other people. That's like a classic activity. And
Yeah.
then another one of the things you can do is look at a time where you were basically really like good at something. It doesn't have to be work. It could be voluntary or, in the community or organising a party or, a time when you were just totally in flow and loving it. And look at, what were the strengths I used? And it might be that you can list out like 10 different, 20 different things that you were, I was really good at speaking with people and organising. And those things in a time when you were in flow and loving it, they are, surely your strengths, So there's a few different ways you can do it without even, you don't have to do the surveys. You could just do it from when was I having a great time, at work or when doing something.
Talking with the experts.
Hello and welcome to Talking with the Experts. My name's Rose Davidson from rose-davidson.com, and Talking with the Experts is about all things business by business owners for business owners, and you can find it on all good podcasting streaming platforms and on YouTube. And it is my very great pleasure to introduce you to Natasha Pickup. And Natasha is going to talk with us about how to create an aligned business positioned around your strengths. Now, Natasha is the queen of this squiggly career, a former marketer and teacher turned mindset and positive psychology coach with a diploma in coaching from the University of Warwick. And Natasha's life changed when she worked with a mindset coach who helped her identify her beliefs and her strengths. And after she had discovered all these wonderful things about herself, these led to her to study positive psychology and become a coach, utilising her number one strength, which is love. Today's Natasha helps female entrepreneurs to stop feeling as lost as she did by helping them create aligned businesses that are positioned around their strengths. Welcome, Natasha. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. So tell me a little bit about how you came to be a mindset and positive psychology coach.
So like you mentioned when you spoke about what I've been up to, I have had all sorts of careers. I basically never found my thing. I was a marketer in my 20s, and in my 30s I was a teacher, and I had my children and everything. And then I've struggled to find, well, what is that thing? I just can't find the thing. And then it wasn't until I actually worked with as you said, a mindset coach, and I overcame all of my blocks and started to say, well, what if I could actually, rather than fitting into a box that someone else creates, what if I could be the creator? What if I could create my own thing that's perfectly aligned with me? And that's when I had stumbled on coaching before, but that's when it dawned on me that I had to coach. So the coach at the time said to me, why don't you try coaching? Why don't you give it a go? And the moment I started coaching, I knew this was the thing that I should have been doing all along.
Okay, so it's all really great to find your purpose in life, but how do you help other women discover what you discovered about yourself?
Yeah, that's the interesting thing is I have worked with a number of coaches, but it wasn't until there's two things that have happened. One is I've worked with a coach and I've been barking up the wrong tree, as in I have been doing the wrong work. So I used to be a social media person and a Facebook ads strategist, and I worked with a coach and worked with a coach. What's that? The Facebook ads. Yeah, worked with a coach, and basically I was not doing the right work, if you're with me. So working with that coach, it made no difference whatsoever because I wasn't doing the right work. It wasn't until I was doing the right work that, you know, the mindset work she was doing with me came into play. So really, it's like you can work with a coach, you can work with a coach on business strategy, you can work with a coach on mindset. But if you're not, my finding was, if you're not doing the right work, if you're not working in line with your strengths in your business or your career, then you're not going anywhere anyway. It's like having your ladder leaning up against the wrong wall. So I became very like, why has nobody told me this? You know, like I'd been paying lots of money to various people and doing lots of different courses, but I paid, basically, I looked outside of myself again and again and again. And it wasn't until I looked inside myself and sort of said, what am I? Who am I? What are my strengths? That things really started to change for me.
Yeah, a lot of people say, is it play to your strengths? And
yeah, play to your strengths. Exactly.
Yeah,
so
but something about your weaknesses. I can't remember. There's a thing with you use both, but a lot of people try to better their weaknesses rather than playing and getting better at what they're strong at. Do you find that?
Yeah, exactly. And we spend, I don't know, like I spent my whole of my early career, like when you're in sort of jobs in a way, you're just told to work on your weaknesses. And even the interview questions are like, tell me your strengths and tell me your weaknesses. But you don't really go into jobs thinking, I'm going to find a job that is in line with my strengths. It's all about working on your weaknesses, not playing to your strengths. But what positive psychology asserts is that we've all got strengths, and you can find those in lots of different ways, which I'll talk about in a minute. But when you work in line with your strengths, everything flows and everything's easier. And then there's another thing which I find really interesting, which is that in a way, your weaknesses are your strengths in overdrive. So as an example, my top strength is love, which means I'm really good at like helping people and that sort of thing. But it also means that I am one of those people who is prone to being walked all over, not having boundaries, because I'm just always wanting to give to people and help people. So when we know our strengths, is that you as well? When we know our strengths, like when we know what the things are which are our strengths, it enables us to say, well, actually that's it's almost like that's where our weaknesses come from. And we can beat ourselves up about things like, oh, well, I don't have, strong boundaries with, clients or whoever it is, but it's nearly always our strengths in overdrive. So when we know our strengths, it enables us to sort of take a different look at our weaknesses. I believe our weaknesses are strengths in the right context as well.
So how does one go about finding what their strengths are? I mean, you've got your basic strengths, like, your strong-willed or stubborn or whatever. That can be a strength. It can also be a weakness. But how do you go and find out the strengths that propel you into the career that you are supposed to be doing?
So I did it in a couple of different ways. Well, there's a couple of really cool, if you're a person who likes surveys, not everybody likes them, but I actually do like them because I'm like, I love learning about myself, and I'll take everything. You can take it with a pinch of salt, but I like to see, what does the survey say. So there's a really cool survey, and I'll share the link with you to pop up, to share with your listeners. But it's called VIA, and it's a free survey called VIA Character Strengths. And my strengths in that came up as, I think it was love of learning and social connection and helping people and things like that. And VIA Character Strengths is, if you Google that, you will see it, but I will also send you a link. And if you do that, it literally comes up for free with, here is a list of your strengths. And there's a really another good one. There's ones from all different countries, as you can imagine. I don't know if it's an Australian one, but there's definitely American ones. And there's an English one, which I really like, called Strengths Profile. I really like it because it sort of says what careers people should do and things like that. But they're all really good. Now, if you don't want to pay for a survey or you don't want to do a survey, there's another really good couple of ways. And one is, it's really simple. It's just to ask people, and obviously, who knows what people will come up with, but most people are pretty kind, really.
Yes.
And had my clients do at one point was sort of say, ask their, boyfriend or husband or whoever, friends, mum, whatever, and just say, what do you think my strengths are? What do you think I'm good at? And it meant that they could sort of, if you ask a few different people and write down what they say, you start to see patterns, like, yeah, you're really good at organizing, or, you're really good at, I don't know, being kind or sensitive or whatever, or teaching, and you tend to see patterns coming through. So there's asking people and then there's another one which I can't remember. Hang on.
I did that a couple of months ago. I posted on my personal profile, in 5 words, describe me. And there was quite a pattern amongst all of that, which I would not have thought of myself in that way. So
I love that. I love the idea of just asking in a post as well. The other thing you can do is look. It obviously, like, our strengths can be, we can use our strengths in work or in family. So if you think about love as a strength, it doesn't sound like a strength, but it is, because not everybody.
It is.
And I think some people think, oh, but I didn't really want that as a strength, because I wanted something which was much more sort of, I don't know,
more macho. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, more macho. That's a really good point. More, perhaps, less feminine,
stronger.
But love is the strength, because most people who are doing things like coaching and that sort of job, or psychotherapy, have got like love and kindness and that sort of thing, or fairness as one of their strengths, and it's what makes us good at what we do. And we assume that everybody has that just because we have it, but it's not true. And that's the other thing, like I said, it's so easy to get, but love isn't a strength, and assume that everybody has what we have. It's so easy, isn't it? But actually, not everybody. There's only one of you. You're totally unique. I'm totally unique. And actually, those strengths are valuable to other people.
Yes, they are. And I didn't. I mean, and the answers that I got weren't what I expected. That's for sure. Anyway, so how can, I guess, females especially, how can they create a position, if they're going to be entrepreneurs? Oh, my hair's annoying me. That aligns them personally with the work that they want to do. So I know a lot of people are doing stuff they think that they're happy with, and then they have a bit of a break. And as you said, they look inside rather than outside influences. And so how do you help them do that?
I think some of it is through coaching. So when I work with people, what we do is we do the strength surveys. There's the other things I told you about, like asking other people. That's like a classic activity. And then another one of the things you can do is look at a time where you were basically really like good at something. It doesn't have to be work. It could be voluntary, or in the community, or organizing a party, or a time when you were just totally in flow and loving it. And look at, what were the strengths I used? And it might be that you can list out like 20 different things that you were, I was really good at speaking with people and organizing. And those things, in a time when you were in flow and loving it, they are, surely your strengths, So there's a few different ways you can do it without even, you don't have to do the surveys. You could just do it from when was I having a great time, at work, or doing something, or even doing sport or something like that. When was I really, really having a great time? But in terms of how I do it with clients, what I tend to do is I'll get them to do the strengths surveys, and then I will just do literally classic coaching. So asking lots of different questions, questions like, if money weren't an object, what would you do then? And they're like, if you had unlimited confidence and unlimited resources, what would you do? And they're like, wow, and if you take away all the sort of, things that might stop you, it really changes it, and they might choose to do something completely different. And so, it's just classic coaching, really. I do the survey, so I look at the strengths, but I also ask lots of coaching questions, and I try and work with them to say, well, if we were going to use your strengths, how would that feel? I'd love it. I'd love to be doing, and let's brainstorm some options. So coaching, for me, it's very much, I believe in the people most of the time, unless they want me to, mentor them. Coaching is about unlocking what's within people rather than me giving the answers. So I will give answers if they want me to, based on my experience. But I believe that coaching is about unlocking what's inside people. And I sort of believe in, the potential of individuals to come up with their own answers using the resources they've got. So I'm very much kind of like, right, let's get it all on the table. Let's look at, your strengths, what we've identified your strengths have, your values, which is the stuff that you stand for, like freedom and family and stuff like that. What is the most important stuff to you? And get it all out on the table and say, right, what are your options? What could you do? What would be the best direction? So that works really well, I've got to be honest.
Good.
It helps people see. It helps people see that sometimes as well, that just that coaching process helps people see that, oh, I could do anything. I don't have to just, do my job as an admin assistant, for example, at a school or whatever it is. They don't have to just do, but I think people get very locked into quite a limited mindset. And sometimes the great thing about coaching is it really opens the door and shows you what's possible.
I think also too, people get locked into the fact that of other people's expectations of them.
Yeah, totally. I agree. Yeah.
So,
and that does that as well. One of the things I do with clients is I'll sort of look at different areas of their lives, like their beliefs and their values and their environment, and that includes the people around them, and say, the first thing we do is set a goal, like, I don't know, I want to make X amount of money in my business, and then I'll be right, looking at each of these areas, environment, values, beliefs, all that, what are the things that are going to help you and what are the things that aren't going to help you. So exactly as you said, in the environment section of that, what would come up is, oh, my mum keeps telling me, or my friend keeps telling me I can't do it, or something like that. So it's exactly like you said, it's about the coaching identifies other people's expectations, and it's about letting go of that, really, and saying, we're not, what I mean, we've got to make it about us and what we want, and taking, radical responsibility for our own lives.
Yeah, absolutely agree, 100%. If you were to give anyone say your top 5 tips on how they could align themselves with their true calling in life.
Yeah, so my top 5 tips would be, number 1, to work on your beliefs. I'm gonna have to count how many I do. So look at your stories that you tell yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like, one of the things that was really good for me, it was working out, what are the things I'm telling myself, limiting beliefs, like people have all sorts, I'm too fat, thin, old, ugly, unqualified, overqualified, it goes on forever. And we all have those. So my number 1 tip would be to identify, get down and face your limiting beliefs, because everyone you see who's smashing it is doing that. They're overcoming it again and again and again, because we've all got stuff in the closet to overcome. So that's my number 1 thing. My number 2 thing would be, as I said before, get aligned with your strengths, get really clear on who you are. What are my strengths? What are my values? And it basically say, what am I? What I'm saying? Who am I? What do I stand for? And doing that inner work before you start looking at the next job or the next business. And then I think number 3 for me would be, so we've got a story. I would say set a goal. So in line with the mindset work you've done, and the work you've done on finding out who you are, is then from that place set a goal, and basically something you can achieve within, say, 6 months or whatever, and then just keep. I would say with the goal, it's really important to keep sort of reading that every day, because you will start to make that become a reality if you're keeping it at the forefront of your mind. I'd say number 4, it might end up being a top 4 rather than top 5.
That's so okay.
Number 4 for me would be take consistent action. So once you've got your sort of goal, you've sorted out your mindset, You know who you are and what you stand for. You've set a goal, and then it's a case of taking consistent action. And if anything comes up for you as you're aiming for your goal, sort of work through that. You know what I'm saying? Because things come up for all of us. We all get blocked and, have stuff to overcome. And rather than sort of going, oh, I quit, it's a case of going, right, what's really going on for me here? What are the stories I'm telling myself, that are going to stop me hitting my goal?
Yeah, women are so good at telling themselves stories that they end up self-sabotaging, don't they?
They do massively. Yeah, they do. And I think that's okay, but it's really useful to, what I encourage people to do is to start to become aware of that. Like, I'm self-sabotaging again. Okay, what's that about? Because there are people, coaches, people like me, other people, NLP practitioners, etc., who work specifically on helping people to overcome those blocks. So, like self-sabotage or generalizing, everybody can do it and I can't, things, that sort of thing we tell ourselves. So it's looking at those thought distortions, they call it in NLP, I think, and sort of saying, what's really happening for me here? And then really, you can work with people to help overcome that. CBT is really good for that as well. Looking at what the thought is and changing your thinking so that you can keep progressing to your goal.
Yeah, good idea. Absolutely brilliant. Yes, you've got some great strategies to overcome, what ails somebody who hasn't got a clue about, where they're going to go in life. I mean, whether we 20, 30, 40, 50, or even 60, some of us still don't know what we're doing in life. And what you've just pointed out makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and the other thing is, your story can become your, it can become your biggest asset. So for me, I spent years not knowing what I was doing, bouncing from thing to thing. And then I've sort of, in a way, made that into my asset, because I'm like, look, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and now I do. So I can help you to find out what you're doing. So I believe that everybody's stories are often there. You know what I mean? Something that's really precious to other people, that can help other people. So I don't see stories as a negative. I see it as that gives you your superpower, your, difficult patches and things you want to hide, all of that stuff. That I believe that's what makes you special and have special gifts that, would really benefit other people.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Just fully in agreement tonight. That's wonderful news. No arguing here. Okay, so have you got any books in progress or thinking of, or?
Not yet. I've got kids, and I'm not quite, I know that sounds like an excuse. It's not an excuse, but my priority right now is my kids and my business. And then when things have sort of eased up in a couple of years, I'd like to write a book. At the moment, I'm thinking of something along the lines of calling it Find Your Thing. And I did a podcast with a guy in New York who was a writing agency, and he was really, do it. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'd love to do it. But I feel that for me, it's not, do you know what I mean? It's like a couple of steps down the line.
Yeah.
Because as well, the kids are pretty young. I think when my time frees up a little bit, I'll be able to start on that. I really look forward to that project.
Yeah, trouble is, if you do that, then something else will come up and you say, oh no, when this thing's over, then I'll do it. And then when that thing's finished, and you'll just keep going.
Yeah. Do you have a book?
Do the book. Just do the book.
Just do the book. Yeah, I will. I will. People keep telling me to do it. It's like a sign. It's like something is telling me to do it, isn't it, from the universe?
It is, yeah. People are telling you to do it. You should do it.
You're right.
When you're not doing something, Instead of talking to me, you could be writing your book. There you go, you see?
Yeah, I'd love to. You're right. You are right. Yeah. Thanks for the little kick at the bum on that.
Oh, so where can people find you, Natasha?
I've got a little website set up for specifically for podcasts called because my name's Pickup. The website's called pickupyourbiz.com, and it's got like a little link to my group on there, and then a link to anything I'm running at the moment, like classes or freebies or anything like that. So I'd encourage your listeners to go to pickupyourbiz.com and join my group or something like that.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, I'll stalk you now. I'm going to stalk you. I see you're on LinkedIn. Okay, I'm just going to get off here now and go and take your name in the search bar, and there we go.
Yeah, that'd be lovely. Let's connect online.
Yes. Yeah. All right, Natasha. Thank you so much. You were a wealth of information. I really enjoyed what you shared with us. It was terrific.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for having me, and have a lovely evening.
You have a good day. See ya.
Yeah. Thanks. Bye-bye then. Bye.